I'm actually right. I'm starting a little bit early. So I'm just going to do like a technical test beforehand. I'm using OBS, and it seems to be working all right. But I won't know. Let's just see if it's actually. I'll just let's just refresh my studio page on the other browser. See if that works. Oh, it's showing up there. It's showing up. It's the correct one. One viewer. Ooh dear. I hope you can all hear me anyway. Let's look and see. Oh, hello, DJ B2. And Cheryl Nanette. How are you, Cheryl Nanette? Can you let me know? Can you hear me all right? Crafty Nihilist. Only Liz. How are you? I've started a little bit early, so plenty of time. Just gonna. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna wait for a little bit because I've started a little bit early, and I can't put the. It won't let me put the preview up. I can't just like put the. It won't let you put the video up ready so that people can see it on your channel, and it's sort of like video coming soon. It's one of these annoying things of this new system. Right, it seems to be okay. Now, hello Woody back again. Hello Legend Real. It's the proper thing this time. It seems to be working. As you see, I've called it I've given it the proper title. Oh, Cheryl, oh, you watched Kev Baker last night, didn't you? You know, it's my ribs bit. It's still sore. I fell over. I've actually reported this to fixmystreet.com because I took a tumble on an uneven bit of pavement. I think it was a manhole cover, and went right flat down. And massive. It's painful. Like if I cough or if I laugh, and I still laugh. You know, I just laugh quietly. But I sneezed earlier on. It's bloody painful. It'll get better though. I mean, I did call NHS Direct, and they just said, look, take painkillers. It'll go away in a couple of weeks. Oh, Crafty Nice is making burgers. That's great. Why are you always making burgers on my live stream? I don't know. Is it something to do with me? Oh, dear, what's this going? It says, what? Check your video resolution. Can you see me all right? As long as you can see me, I mean, that's all that matters. Hello, Al McCall and David and Splendid Isolation. How are you? And Legend Real. Oh right, yeah. Oh, David, I know you're not in the Telegram group anymore. There's a Panroad TV this Thursday. I don't know if you've seen the notice. I think you'll find it interesting. And Hanafi Dean says Randy was a con artist, disinformation agent. He did everything, and not to let things like ESP remote viewing is very real. I'll be covering that, Hanafi. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to get into the subject matter. This is just like a test because of this new system that's suddenly been dumped on me. Oh, thanks, Woody Black. You can see me okay. Hello, Winslow. How are you? DJ B2. Neck braces and painkillers, yeah. Hello, Winslow. How are you? Hey, great, David. Check it out. I should leave a notice in the group, actually. I haven't done that. I will put a notice in the old group. I mean, some of the others might want to join in. I know Crystal Cat might want to be interested. And obviously, she's like in the old Telegram group, so I'll just put that in the Telegram group. Which was this one? Is it Novel Contact? Novel Contact. Yeah, I'll just put it in the group here, so Crystal Cat can see it as well. Should be fun. It's another interactive one. It's not a quiz, but it's an interactive kind of gamey one. So I know you guys like those. And David, you of course are the champion of the quiz we did, aren't you? And we've got Blue Wall. Hello, Blue Wall. How are you? Do you want to? I know who Blue Wall is. You may know who Blue Wall is. If you want to own up who you are. And it's not a secret, is it, Blue Wall? DJ Boots said I messed my back up last week. Oh dear. And you got a neck brace. Oh right, I shouldn't. I mean, ribs are quite easy, but backs are awful. Anything goes wrong with your back is bloody agony, and it can be debilitating. So yeah, I shouldn't complain really. Peter Steins, hello, how are you? Oh, we've got about a minute to go, and then we get to the advertised time. when I was going to start. Yeah, Colin, it is Colin. I know, Colin. I know it's you. Oh, nasty DJ. I'm sorry you got a trapped nerve. I'm very sorry to hear that. Okay. I think I'll start sharing this now. I'll start sharing the live stream. Woody back. It's not my Telegram group. It's called Novel Contact. It's not mine. I've got a Telegram group called Herpanwo. But it's a group that I'm a member of. David was in there too, and so I just let people know what I'm up to, so they can join in if they want. Okay. Hello, Tink. Hello, Diego Rivera. Hello, how are you? Okay, I'm just going to share this. I'm just going to share the live stream now. Okay, I'm just looking at my own page in another browser, and it's there. Good. Right, let's just have a look. Oh, I can see myself. Okay, I'm just looking at my own page in another browser, and it's there. So I'll share on Facebook. Right, let's just have a look. Oh, I can see myself. Okay, I'm just looking at my own page in another browser, and it's there. So I'll share on Facebook. Right, let's just have a look. Oh, I can see myself. Facebook. Okay, I'm just looking at my own page in another browser, and it's there. So I'll share on Facebook. Right, let's just have a look. Oh, I can see myself. Facebook. Okay, I'm just looking at my own page in another browser, and it's there. So I'll share on Facebook. I'm warbling again. Facebook. I'll shut that. I'll shut that page. My own page in another browser, and it's there. So I'll share on Facebook. I'm warbling again. Facebook. I'll shut that. I'll shut that page in another browser, and it's there. So I'll share on Facebook. Okay. So it was loop. That was just the looping we heard of before. Okay, so that's probably something to do with the. Here we are. Come on, I pressed share. For fuck's sake. Excuse me. Right. Right. Hope that's all right. Hello, Hugo Rune. And Seth Fletcher. Greetings. I know that. Hello, Paul Armstrong. How are you? How are you? Hopefully the looping's gone now. I've just closed the browser. It's because I can hear myself in these earphones, and they sort of like you end up like with a kind of feedback effect. But so hopefully that'll be all right now. Oh, Oxford Paranormal UK. Hello. Oh, great! You're in Oxford. Are you in Dreaming Saucers? I'm glad someone's in Oxford. Oh, brilliant. And sounds like an A&E Catherine. Hello, Monopod BS. How are you? Paul Armstrong, before the stream begins, let's all take a silent minute to pay tribute to the great Randy. Paul, I'm very sorry, it's actually not going to be that kind of live stream. I'll start the live. You sort of like launched the subject, so I'll start talking about it now. But to begin with, I'll just go through your comments on the show notice. Barbara Whittle says, waiting patiently, thank you. Steve071 says, feck, I work till 12. We'll have to watch the re-upload. Sorry about that, Steve. Diego Rivera says, James Randi can come back as a ghost and claim his own $1 million prize. And Steve says, nah, he won't have the balls to be proven wrong. Oh, well, you see, I wonder, it depends what his true motives were. Crafty Gnarly says, can't wait. I'm glad you were there, Crafty, I am. Nelly on the Land says, as an ex-CIA, wasn't he given a 40 gun salute? Woody Black's there, that's great. Okay, yeah, funny thing about James Randi, he's in his biopic, An Honest Liar, his documentary that was made about him. He said every morning when he wakes up, he has a notepad by his bed, and he writes on the notepad, he puts the day's date, he signs it, and he writes, today I, James Randi, will die. Now, of course, he's making a point about prediction, because that's one prediction. If you do that in a dedicated manner every single day, eventually you will be proven right. You see, and that's the point he was making, was that sometimes people make predictions which are not real, not really kind of like clairvoyant. So I think that's the point he was making. I've got my old earphones on anyway. I've got some brand new earphones. You may have seen them on the test. I could plug them in, but to be honest, I don't want to mess around with it. It's just I don't want to disturb it. You know what I mean? Anyway, you guys, hello Luke. I'm just going to say hello to Luke and to anyone else. I'm glad you're here. Bear in mind, when I'm reading off the lead off, I can't actually answer your questions in chat. So if you want to address me, if you wait till after I finish the lead off, I'll be able to answer you. Otherwise, I can't answer you. What I'll do is I'll just go around and de-troll. But this is a video which I'm going to be. It's a video about the life and works of James the Amazing Randi, who passed away last week. I've got to be honest. This is not going to be a tribute. I intend to be frank about my feelings over this matter, but at the same time, I'm not going to be cruel. I'm not going to. This is not a celebration. I know there are some people. Uri Geller, for example. You see what he tweeted? He's celebrating this. A lot of people. I mean, I've spoken to people who are dancing on his grave, effectively. I'm not going to do that. I know he has loved ones. He has a surviving brother and sister. He has his partner, David Pena, aka Jose Alvarez, who is grieving right now. Those people have my deepest condolences. Anyway, he was born August the 7th, 1928. Died October the 20th. That's last Tuesday, 2020, aged 92. That's right. Now Randi. Apparently, he's been doing this literally his whole life, ever since he was a kid. He used to skive off school in Toronto, where he comes from, in Toronto, Canada, and go and see the magicians perform in the theatres. He left school at 17. He actually didn't get any qualifications, and he joined a Carnival Roadshow at the age of 17. And he performed in local nightclubs and theatres and various exhibitions around Canada. And he was apparently arrested a couple of times. Yeah. He posed as an astrologer when he was in his 20s, and he wrote an astrological column in the Canadian tabloid Midnight under the name Zoran. Pretending to be an astrologer. This is where he kind of developed a conscience, because he knew he wasn't really an astrologer. It's because he witnessed people. He travelled the world. He went to the UK, went to the Philippines, went to all over Europe, went to Japan. He witnessed tricks being performed by magicians. These people said that they were supernatural, and they were not doing tricks. Excuse me. They're not doing tricks. It was actually really ghostly and supernatural, like Uri Geller. And Randi really turned against that in a big way, because he said no, they're just using tricks. They're pretending to be paranormal. And so this is where he dedicated his skeptic career to. And he also started repeating some of the tricks of Houdini. He started in 1946 doing various escape artists, and these were quite spectacular at one point. In fact, on the 7th of February 1956, he appeared on NBC's Today Show, where he remained for 104 minutes in a sealed metal coffin that was submerged in a hotel swimming pool. This broke what was Houdini's record of 93 minutes, which he set in 1926. That's quite. I mean, these things are quite dangerous. You can well imagine, you know. He appeared on the radio show, appeared on TV, calling himself the Amazing Randi. He toured with Alice Cooper in 1973-4, where he performed on stage with Alice Cooper, playing these roles of this spectacular live show that Cooper's famous for, including pretended to behead Alice Cooper in a guillotine, and I've seen the video of that. It looks very realistic. He escaped from a straitjacket while suspended upside down over the Niagara Falls. And he also bent spoons like Uri Geller did. When asked who he was, he says, "I'm a trickster, I'm a cheat, I'm a charlatan. That's what I do for a living. Everything I've done here was by trickery." Someone shouted from the audience, "That's not what I mean. You're a fraud because you're pretending to do these things through trickery, but you're actually using psychic powers and misleading us by not admitting it." Oh, right. That's an interesting point. Someone's already mentioned this. Hanafi Din brought this up in the chat box about how, because Randi was dishonest. I mean, he's called the Honest Liar, and that's the name given to his life story. This film made about him, this documentary, The Honest Liar. But he wasn't. He said he used lies to tell the truth, but he also used lies to conceal the truth. And I'm going to be honest about this. I know they say you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but well, this is. I don't think that rule applies. I think we have to be honest. I think I'm going to try and be fair. I mean, it's my intention to be fair and to be dignified over this matter. I'm well aware that he has a lot of people who cared for him. Randi did, and they may be watching this. I'm not going to I don't want to hurt them or cause them any more grief, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to be honest about my assessment of this, because, as you know, I've discussed Randy before. I've done an entire, at least one video an entire video dedicated to Randy. Actually, I think it was Randy Quits the JREF or something like that. And he also appeared in my Skeptic Talks. I feature him in my Skeptic Talks. Someone apparently says Randy may be psychic but doesn't realise it. Randy consistently denied having any paranormal claims or abilities. And he wrote 10 books, among them Houdini, His Life and Art, which is about the life of Houdini. Funny thing about Houdini is, I've not read this book by Randy, but I read, I think I brought this up in another video. You know the story about Houdini, about how, Houdini died very suddenly in 1926. He was punched in the stomach and he developed peritonitis, which killed him. It was 2 years before Randy was born, and I can't help wondering if it was like a reincarnation thing. But Houdini used to say to his wife Bess, you know, when I die, go to every spiritualist church you can, and go to every séance you can, and you'll know, if I come through, you'll know it's me because of this coded message. And he left her a secret coded message that only the two of them knew. So Bess and he kind of had an agreement of a coded message. And even though he wasn't terminally ill or anything, like I say, he died suddenly, he said, just in case I do die. And Bess said she'd do the same. And indeed, after he died, Bess went to all kinds of spiritualist churches. Now, according to conventional belief, she never received a message from her husband, which included the code. But then, in the 1983 Reader's Digest Encyclopedia of the Paranormal, which a brother Porter actually bought this for me, from the League of Friends stall at the hospital. I remember he just saw it lying there and bought it for me. It was really nice of him. Ironically, it was the guy later on I was accused of bullying, which was one of the reasons I got sacked. I was falsely accused of bullying this man. But he bought me this book, and I read through it, and I couldn't believe it. Because it said that apparently he did come through at one point. Anyway, moving on. Randy wrote several educational works about paranormal and pseudoscientific claims, include a biography of Uri Geller, which was called the Secrets of Uri Geller or something, which ended up with lots of lawsuits. Flim Flam, the Faith Healers, James Randi's Psychic Investigators. These are all books by him. An encyclopedia of claims, frauds, and hoaxes of the occult and supernatural. He's often nicknamed. He's often referred to as what's the word that people use for him? A scourge of psychics, frauds, quacks, and pseudoscientists. That's quite an endorsement, isn't it? He contributed to Skeptic magazine, which I've read. Skeptical Inquirer magazine. Skeptic is the British version, I think, which was edited by Chris French. Today it's edited, I think, by Deborah Hyde. Skeptical Inquirer was actually, I think, Shermer's magazine. I think it's still going. And, of course, the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, of which he's a fellow, yeah. There's a couple of videos of him doing this rather gruesome thing where he reproduces psychic surgery, which he claims is a fraud. You know, it's I don't know much about that, to be honest, but it's quite funny to watch and a bit yucky. And he gained international spotlight in 1972 when he publicly challenged the claims of Uri Geller. He accused Geller of being nothing more than a charlatan and a fraud who used standard magic tricks to accompany his allegedly paranormal feats. And he wrote this book, The Truth About Uri Geller. Oh, right, yes. And, of course, in 1973, there's this very famous clip of him on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where he turns up, he walks into the studio, and suddenly he sees that they've set up some things for him to do. They've set up like some props for him to do tricks, some spoons and things for him to bend, and some little cans which one has a steel ball in, another has water in. He's got to try and find it with his psychic powers. And of course, these are things he does, but these are these were props that were placed by someone else, not by him and his team. So, and he gets very upset about it. Now, I'll just briefly, a little bit of a side for Uri Geller. From what I've seen, Geller first came to the United States in 1970 and joined the Stanford Research Institute, where they were testing psychic ability for remote viewing. I recommend in Penetration, a book by Ingo Swann, a man who was also involved in that project. The people involved, it was actually Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff. Yes, the same Hal Puthoff who's on TTSA. Basically, what I gather is, now according to Bill Nye, the science guy, the whole project was cancelled a couple of years later because they couldn't find any psychic powers. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't find any results. They basically failed. But I believe, from what I've studied, that the project actually didn't fail. It worked, and the whole thing just went underground. It went black budget. And Keller's performance as a stage magician, and let's face it, he's a very second-rate stage magician. He only does about 3 different tricks. Was just a cover. And indeed, he himself has talked, since 2013, he has talked openly about his work for the CIA and Mossad as a remote viewer. So I think there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Whether this Randy knew about it, I don't know. If Randy thought about that, maybe he did, I don't know. But yeah, this group was formed in 1976 by Paul Kurtz, of the American Humanist Association. He's a piece of work, I can tell you. It's called the Committee for Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal. It's shortened to PsyCop, which some people think is a pun. PsyCop, indicating that these are the policemen of psychical research. But Kurtz reckons that's not true. Anyway, it's called CSI now because it basically had to change its name. Oh, it's like yeah, and it's very successful. It went across the world. Branches appeared elsewhere. He said he's kick-started several skeptic organisations. He really is the world's biggest skeptic. He's the grandfather and godfather of skepticism. Now, Geller sued Randy and PsyCop in 1991. Geller's suit was thrown out in 1995. But the legal Randy incurred a huge legal cost for that. Basically, he had what's called the MacArthur Foundation grant awarded to him in 1986 for his work. He had to pay most of that on settling Geller's legal dispute. The PsyCop's leadership wanted to avoid becoming the target of Geller's litigation and demanded that Randy refrain from commenting on Geller. Randy refused and resigned, but he maintained a respectful relationship with the group. In 2006, it changed its name to the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. And in 2010, Randy was one of 60 new CSI fellows. I believe others included Richard Dawkins, Susan Blackmore, Chris French, all the big names. Michael Shermer, I think, was involved. I'm not sure. I've done entire videos on Shermer, actually, because he's very interesting. And he features... I do recommend my skeptic videos, like the Newcastle, my 5th Newcastle one, and the Skeptic 2018 one. Now, I won't go into details of the Project Alpha hoax. Randy claims that he successfully planted 2 fake psychics into a privately funded psychic research experiment. Now, he claims this was a massive success on his part, but Nexus Magazine has done an investigation into this and found it wasn't. I go into details of this in my skeptic videos, but this is what often happens. Randy is quite good at putting forward a good shop window, and he lies about people. He lied about Rupert Sheldrake. I mean, yes, some of the people he targeted deserve it, and I'll talk about them. Peter Popoff, for example, I'll talk about them. But he also had a go at some I think are perfectly harmless and innocent, decent people, and he persecuted them. There was some people, for example, James Heydrich was one bloke who was fake, and Randy called him out. He was this guy who could move pages of a telephone book without touching it. You may have seen the image, and Randy just put some phone packaging bits around it, some like these little bits of phone packaging, and said, "Okay, if you blow, I'll know because these things will move." And then he couldn't do it. He didn't feel strong. The atmosphere was wrong, and eventually he confessed that he'd faked the whole thing. And the Carlos hoax. This happened in 1988. Randy did another of these kind of infiltration hoaxes by setting up a fake spirit channel called Carlos. But Carlos was actually Jose Alvarez, who was Randy's partner, who he ended up marrying. And again, this actually was a lot more successful. This actually did work. From what I've appeared, because I've looked at independent sources on this, it was exactly what he said it was. Carlos became a big hit in Australia. He said, "I am Carlos, the great prophet," and things like this. And he wasn't. He was just acting. And the point Randy wanted to make is it's very easy for these channelers, people like JZ Knight and others, the various channelers, to set up other people to make people believe that they were seeing something they weren't. And to be honest, he's got a point. He's got a point. I'm not. He wasn't completely wrong. Now, there's a very interesting photograph with Randy. You can look it up. It's on his Wikipedia page. Taken in 1983 at the PsyCop conference in Buffalo. You see him, and next to him is Philip J. Klass, the ufologist who's anti-ufologist. He was the guy who was debunking every single UFO thing that came about, even in the most outrageous way possible. Saying Travis Walton was on drugs and he paid some of Travis Walton's friends to denounce him and things like this. All kinds of rubbish like that. He and Randy were part of the same outfit, and I wonder if, I say wonder, it's not a coincidence. Funny enough, he's worked in homeopathy experiments laboratories and supposedly debunked homeopathy, according to BBC Horizon, if you believe that. In 1996, Randy established the James Randi Educational Foundation, which is basically administering the $1 Million Paranormal Challenge. Now, this is amazing. This is supposedly the last word in psychical research, because Randy, in a sense, this is kind of what Randy uses as proof that there are no psychic things. There's nothing psychic, nothing supernatural in the world. Because he says, okay, if it's true, those of you who believe in it and can do these things, come to my place, come to my laboratory, and we'll organise a scientific test. And if you pass it, you get a prize of $1 million US. This is something he started in 1964. Actually, he put up £1,000 of his own savings to anyone who could do this. Then more and more people put money into the pot. The rumours have it Johnny Carson put in quite a lot, and it grew to $1 million. And Randy has this kind of little textbook showpiece that he does. And you must realise, skeptics love old jokes. They always laugh at jokes that are repeated again and again and again. Whenever Randy's being interviewed, like at TAM London, where I went there, he was interviewed by Chris French, and French said, "So, Randy, tell me, has anyone ever come along to take your $1 Million challenge and you thought, maybe this is the one, maybe this guy's different, this bloke, this one here, I really think this could be the one?" And Randy goes, "No." And everyone laughs in the audience. It doesn't matter how many times he does that. Everyone always laughs. The skeptics, they always laugh. But of course, as you know from my 2018 Skeptic Talk, and indeed my Truth Seekers Northeast one, I think it's the 5th one or the 4th one, it's not as watertight as you might think. Again, he doesn't talk about it. Nobody talks about it. It's done very quietly. You've got to look behind the curtain to see the truth, to see these other sides of the story. But there's George Simpson, a man who sued the JREF and won. Well, he didn't win. What happened? Well, he did win, actually, because he sued the JREF for wrongful termination of contract. He applied for the $1 Million challenge, and they just stopped returning his calls and emails. And so he sued them, and then suddenly it all went quiet. This was hardly mentioned in the skeptic media at all. The details are on these videos I just mentioned. This is hardly mentioned in the skeptic media. Which means, and then the reason it all went quiet was because they must have settled out of court. So if the $1 Million challenge is so watertight, why didn't Randy fight it? Ross Hemsworth as well. Ross Hemsworth is a friend of mine, actually. He's a good guy, someone I know. He challenged Randy. He did a challenge to Randy. Now he doesn't have £1 million. He's not that rich, but he offered Randy £100,000 to spend 6 weeks with him, going around to various. Come to England, he says. I'll pay your expenses, come to England, and spend 6 weeks with me, travelling around various haunted houses, and if you can prove that the things I have investigated are not real, I'll give you £100,000. And Randy refused. He said Randy actually wrote on his blog at one point that he refused this. Now, the skeptics, people like Tristan Swale, who turned against me very, very roughly, they said, "Oh, you can't expect Randy to come to England and take 6 weeks out of his schedule to hang around with some nut job who's listening to taps on the wall, can you?" And I said, "Well, 6 weeks, which would be very 6 lucrative weeks, would they? I mean, he would 6 weeks in which Randy would be able to win £100,000, which he would be able to do easily, would he not?" I think that's when Tristan turned against me, actually, when I challenged him on that. That's how we got here. The Sylvia Brown. Yeah, he challenged Sylvia Brown. Apparently said she would do the $1 million challenge, but then later on she said she then sort of stopped. She agreed to it, but then she sort of like backed out of it. I don't know. If you do this and then it doesn't work, I think she was worried if she did this and it didn't work, it would discredit her. But however, as I said, it's not the last word. The $1 million challenge is not the last word. Okay. Randy had a partner like Jose Alvarez, who was a 19-year-old artist. Randy met him. Randy was in his 50s and met this guy, and they fell in love because Randy was gay. Now, Randy came out as gay quite sort of late in life. I think he was 85 when he admitted to everyone he was gay. Although it was sort of like everyone knew that beforehand anyway. These were a couple, but this was the guy who played Carlos, and they were together for the rest of their lives. And indeed, they have a civil partnership in 2013. It's featured in the film. He ran The Amazing Meeting. The Amazing Meeting was a series of, beginning in 2003, a series of huge skeptic conferences, the most popular skeptic events in the world. I went to one of them, the one in London, and yeah, it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, I was sort of like a fish out of water there, but I did. It was good to go and see the other side of the story. Always good to see that. He was ill a few times. He's been ill a few times, and then he had a heart attack. He had a stroke, and then he had some small tumours removed in 2009. He had a series of chemotherapy, which he then got over, and yeah, it was in 2017. He revealed he'd suffered a minor stroke, and then October 20th, 2020, he died at his home in Florida. I published an obituary on her Panama Voice, as I explained, because I actually drafted it a few years ago because obviously he's an old guy and I knew he wouldn't be around much longer. It's quite likely at some point I'm going to have to write something about him because I knew that when he died I would have to mark it somehow, and so I drafted the obituary like about 5 years ago. So when I actually did learn of his death last week, it was a very simple matter, simply to fill in the details and then publish it. Randy he didn't want anyone to say rest in peace or anything like that. Randy knew that he made enemies of people like me. He seemed quite content, actually, with the idea that people like me were bitter enemies of his, believers in the paranormal, etc. And I don't think he'd expect us to grieve. But as I said, I'm not going to be cruel. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I feel sorrow at his passing and I'm mourning him. I don't. But I'm not going to be cruel, I'm not going to be undignified, I'm not going to be hurtful to his loved ones and celebrate. No. They have my deepest condolences. Randy's last request was that when he's cremated, he wanted someone to go up to Uri Geller and throw his ashes in Geller's face. We'll wait and see if that happens. We will wait. It'll see if that happens. Anyway, guys, we've got 38 people watching. I'm just going to de-troll and then I'll come back to you. Everything seems to be working anyway. That is good. How are you all? I just want to say hello to people who've joined us since I've been reading this particular. Paul Armstrong is very sorry that Randy died, I think. Yeah. Paul Armstrong says, I'm going to do a reply to this video and I'll be gushing in the great Randy's memory. Oh, well, I know you have a much higher opinion of him than I did, Paul, definitely. The good guys are fighting underground to free the child sex slaves and killing the elites. Yes, they are. That's right. We're doing. We'll be coming. We'll do that. I'll say more about that when we do the election next week. What's happened? Oh, bugger off. Restart later. Sorry, this thing's prompting me to restart. Durkin atheism. James Randi is a theist now. Hey, Duncan atheism. I was talking to this with Don. I was talking about this with Don Phillips actually, a couple of other people. What does he think now? Supposing he really didn't believe in the afterlife. I mean, there's some talk going round, which I'll get into, that maybe he did, and he was and he just said he didn't because there's some kind of cover-up going on. Which that's a big subject, but I should get into it. This is a good time to get into it. But supposing he's got to the spirit world or the afterlife or heaven or whatever, and he goes, "Oh, I didn't realize. I was wrong all my life. I thought there was no afterlife, and now I find there is." What will he do? Now, it could be someone, as I think it was, who was it who said earlier on, he'll come back and claim his own $1 million. I do wonder if he may turn up somewhere. However, if he really doesn't believe in the afterlife, it's possible that he's still not at rest, maybe as an actual ghost, or I don't know if you've seen the film Jacob's Ladder. It's a very good film about a man who is dead, he has died, and he doesn't realise he can't come to terms with his own death, and so he continues to exist in a kind of life simulation. It's a very good film if you haven't seen it. The main character is this guy who's stuck in a life simulation. And it's possible Randy is in that state. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. Duncan says James Randi's atheism, as he expressed it, is the same cliche. All right. I'm gonna have to skip through a lot of these. What's this, David, about Colin Wilson? Oh goodness, there's some good comments here. I'm sorry to have to skip through them. David says atheists are some of those close-minded, arrogant, smug people going, aren't they just? Richard Dawkins says, "Oh, I'm a scientist and I'm an atheist. I own atheism. It's my property. I own science." Yeah. Neil says, "Ben, would you like to discuss Randy on the Paranormal Peep Show?" Yes, I'd love to, Neil. Thanks. Neil Peel, he presents a thing called the Paranormal Peep Show with Andrew Chaplin. I'd be glad to, Neil. Yes. Let me give me some dates. Inbox me on Facebook and give me some dates. Okay, Lime Specs. Hello, Lime Specs. How are you? Miles, you got some great comments here, guys. Lime Specs. Steve Palmer and Mumbling Love. Oh, Steve Palmer. Yes, I did mention Steve Palmer. Steve Palmer and they're no doubt going to put some comments on this. I don't think they're here live, but Mumbling would have to get up really early to get here live. But the two Steves, I think, will be putting some choice comments onto this recording of this. I don't doubt. Right, where are we now? Hugo Rune. God is such a nasty person. I can't be bothered with Christianity. Well, Hugo, it could be that the way God is portrayed in off-the-shelf organised religion is not really what God is. David says, "I expect Randy still has his fingers and his ears." I don't know, is he? Danny says, Danny Curtin, hello. Fuck, just come online. What did George Simpsons do then? Oh, right. Danny, the full court papers, I've got them as PDFs. If you go to my Skeptics 2018 video, I give all the details there. I can't, if I give you the details now, I'll basically be repeating my Skeptics 2018 video. I don't want to do that. Oh. Miles Lawler, you're wasting your time arguing with atheists. They're only atheists. They're only interested in bringing you down. Well, there's this thing about new atheism. It's like, it's almost like a kind of backslapping circle of superiority. And some of them just get into it for that reason. I mean, Christopher Hitchens, for example, he jumped on that bandwagon, didn't he, big time? I think really. New atheism consists of Richard Dawkins and his hangers-on. Diego Rivera says James Randi is burning in an atheistic void. No. There is such a thing as the lower astral, where some people end up, But the lower astral is kind of like hell, but it's different from the Judeo-Christian version of hell because it's not permanent. You can actually get out of the lower astral. Some people manage to escape from the lower astral. Iman Pudima says James Randi might actually believe he's actually dead. This is what I was thinking. I mean, if he could come back at some point and admit, "Oh, I was wrong all along, and here I am in spirit." He could turn up in a séance in ectoplasm and say, "For those of you who I had to go at, I'm really sorry, and I want to apologise." Oh, he could do that. I mean, it could literally be that simple. He just turns up in ectoplasm at some kind of physical mediumship. Maybe Jason Harrington or something. He's doing one of his in trance at some point, and this big cloud of ectoplasm appears, or it is like a transfiguration on his face, and it's old James Randi going, "Oh, hello everyone. Yes, I really should. I really didn't mean what I said to you earlier on. I didn't realise. I thought I was going to just die and that was it. But obviously there's an afterlife, and so really sorry, guys. Spread the word, will you? Tell everyone that I've changed my mind." That could literally happen, or he could, like I say, be living in some kind of afterlife simulation. He could be a trapped soul, rather like the Sam Wheat character in Ghost, that brilliant film Ghost. Absolutely fantastic. And Longsight M12. Hello, Ben. How are you? Oh, Longsight M12. This is about the death of James Randi. James the Amazing Randi. We're discussing his life and works because he passed away last week. Luke Griffin says the problem is Randi could still be right. There might be nothing. It's all about what you believe. Me personally, I'm more open-minded. Well, Luke, I mean, I can't prove that Randi is wrong about the afterlife. I can't prove any materialist is wrong. It's to prove that would mean literally dying and coming back, and taking photographs of the afterlife and producing irrefutable evidence of the afterlife in the form of something like the same way you think. Well, you go on holiday to France, and you get postcards and souvenirs, and you come back and say, "Look, I've proved France exists because of this." Now, that can't be done with the afterlife, and unless it can, you can't prove it beyond all doubt. I mean, the closest you get to that is things such as various points of psychical research, near-death experiences, and things like that. I think these indicate that there is some kind of. I think that we have reason to be hopeful. I think we have a lot of reason to be hopeful. Hello, David. David Keith is there. How do you do? Woody Black says, "I hope the afterlife is like Beetlejuice." That's a good film, that, isn't it? Yeah. Eman, maybe he's been reincarnated as the next Deepak Chopra. Oh my goodness me. Well, maybe Deepak Chopra and he are twin souls. You never know. David at UK says the only man who died and came back was Jesus. Yeah, but to be resurrected as in physical form, yeah. But although, when it comes to reincarnation, it's a different matter. Alan McVicker says, so hard to prove, a lot won't believe unless it hits them in the face. Alan, you literally, if you really go to extreme levels and you reject all psychical research as no proof at all, then, yeah, you literally are in a position where you have to wait until it's your turn. You have to literally wait until you're dead, and then you'll know. Duncan says, Ben, when you say it could be, what you mean is I imagine a scenario. The state of the afterlife is a necessary condition, not a contingency. Well, it's something you can't. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but it's something that obviously I've never seen, and I've got no memories of past lives. I've got reason to believe that, based on my interest in psychical research. And indeed, Alan McVicker says DMT can give you a look beyond the veil, and that's right. That's another area that interests me. Miles Lawler says, David. Oh, sorry. He's addressing someone else. Ben David UK Durkin. Well worth reading. Listening to Rupert Shorett refuting Richard Dawkins. All right. Rupert Shorett. I'll just Google that. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Nothing's happening. Okay, it's just... Oh, that's it. Oh, I see here. There's some images and... Okay, thanks very much, guys. Thank you very much. Diego Rivera, modern science could clone James Randi. Maybe it's already happened. Maybe there's a little Randy. There's little Randys all over the place. It's like the boys from Brazil. Who knows? That'll be fun, wouldn't it? Oh, thanks, Luke. Luke likes watching and likes my videos. Alan McVicker says exactly. I believe for sure, but that's my personal experience. I can't prove it though. No, same here. I mean, I think it's a good working hypothesis that there is some kind of afterlife. I think that it fits with the evidence that I've seen. This new studio is bloody rubbish. David's UK says Alex Jones's impression of James Randi is hilarious. I've not seen that. He's a difficult guy to. He talks like this, James Randi. He's got a voice like this. My name's James Randi. Hello, I'm a charlatan. I'm going to fool you, and I tell you I'm going to fool you. I'm not paranormal. I just know magic tricks. Oh yeah. Oh man. So I do wonder, like, 'cause you know I'm always going on about the UFO cover-up, aren't you? I mean, I talk about very little else. I do talk about other things, but still. What about if there's a similar cover-up of the afterlife? Maybe something similar to the Brookings Institute have got together in the same way they said, you know, it's for cultural and psychological reasons of the people. We need to make them think there's no such things as aliens. We need these people to think that there's nothing out there and Earth is alone in the universe as a living planet, and there are no aliens. Of course, it's also to do with the free energy and things like that with UFOs, but it's also it's also to do with culture and to do with psychology and to do with control. Excuse me, controlling the people at a mass level. Okay, if you and maybe they've had something similar about the afterlife. Maybe they've got together and they think, look, we have, you know that when we die, that's not the end of it. But the people have to think that. Either that or they buy some off-the-shelf organised religion. If they won't do that, we have to make them believe in nothing. We have to make them believe that in pure atheo, materialo, skeptico, nothingness. Those are your only two choices. It's the book and the vicar. You know, the Bible and the dog collar, or it's, you know, life's a bitch and then you die. It's lights out. Or as Professor Chris French said, it's not a question of waiting and seeing. It's a question of waiting and not seeing. Alan McVicker says, check out my channel. Oh, thanks, Alan. Will do. Hugo Roon says, Ben, please show me this evidence of the afterlife. Oh, Hugo, where shall I start? Well, my Helen Duncan video is a good start, I think. In fact, I do wonder. Do you know the thing about Helen Duncan when she wasn't allowed to perform in court? If you remember the video I talked about, like when she was in the Old Bailey being charged under the Witchcraft Act, that she wanted to do a performance in court. This is the plan of her defense. Her defense lawyer said, let's just get her in court and do a séance and prove she can do it in front of everyone, in front of the jury, in front of the public gallery. Let's just prove she can do her séance. And the judge says no. And then the defense barrister appeals. Charles Loseby, the defense counsel, and the judge Dodson then says, well, I'll do it, but we're going to poll we have to poll the jury. So they poll the jury, and the jury votes not to. I mean, what? I mean, if you were on that jury, what would you do? Would you really say no to that? Even out of the case of your own curiosity, would you really say, oh, I don't want to see that? No, I don't want to see that. Obviously, it was very important that Helen Duncan be put in jail, because as I explained, this was 1944, and D-Day was coming, And Helen Duncan, of course, was practicing her seances, and these spirits kept turning up of dead sailors from ships that had sunk, like HMS Barham, HMS Hood, and they were turning up in ectoplasmic form and basically saying, "Here I am," and giving away all kinds of secrets that the government was trying to keep from the enemy. So we know from Brigadier Roy Firebrace that MI5 was watching Helen Duncan, and if MI5 was watching her, you can be damn sure that the enemy was as well. They wanted to know what they could find out. Now, in November 1943, there was a terrible disaster off the coast of Dorset. One of those landing boats, you see them in the movies, with a big ramp at the front. One of those was exercising off the coast. It sunk, and it was loaded up with about 50 troops, and the pilots of the boat, of course, everyone drowned. Now, these guys knew about D-Day. They were part of the training for D-Day. Now, what if just one of those had come through in one of Helen Duncan's seances, and one German spy had been in the audience? That'd be it. The secrecy would be over. And so, of course, that's why they did this. This is why they had this kangaroo court to put her in jail. However, there was also, if she had performed her séance in the courtroom, just think what that would do in terms of a common law precedent. I mean, basically, everything James Randi did would be useless, wouldn't it? Miles Lawler says, sorry, I meant Rupert Shorrett's book Outgrowing Dawkins, God for Grown-Ups. Oh, I like that. Richard Dawkins hates it when people write books disagreeing with him. Because he goes on about Alistair McGrath. Alistair McGrath has written 2 books with my name in the title. Never before has a dog been so praised by his fleas. So you see, this is Dawkins. This is how juvenile Dawkins is. Richard Dawkins is so juvenile. If you write a book disagreeing with him, he just portrays it as you really just blood sucking off him. Well, people like Christopher Hitchens writes a book which is obviously just intended to be like a bandwagon book. It's just a bandwagon thing for him. Dawkins said, "Oh no, Christopher Hitchens is wonderful. He's absolutely wonderful." Longsight asked me if I've seen a UFO. Yes, I have, a few times. I won't go into details now, but I've seen a couple of dozen. About 3, I think, are really significant. Sonara's Astri, hello, how are you? Thanks for joining us, Sonara. Much appreciated. Stiltskin says, there is an afterlife that King of England told me. All right. The real King of England, that is. That's not what's his name. Diego Rivera says, Uri Geller bending spoons. What's a pointless psychic ability? It's one of only 3 tricks or so he does. Now you can actually bend a spoon quite easily. Like if you just do that and bend it beforehand, and then you can just rub it and it'll fall off. This is why when Randy set him up in the Johnny Carson show, he made sure that these spoons were ones that he hadn't touched beforehand. David Splendid Isolation says, I had a 10-second glimpse of a large black triangle over London in 2005. The flying triangles are quite a common type, David, yeah. Alan McVicker says, I had a really strong memory of a UFO encounter that happened to me at the age of 12 years ago. Researching ball lightning. There was nothing there at the time. Now I see it everywhere on the net. Alright. So that's obviously you were young at the time, but children do have these things, yeah. David says, even if Geller was using tricks, it's been fun following his stuff over 30 years. My interest in Uri Geller is essentially his connection to the Secret Services and the remote viewing program. Iman Padima says, organised religion or materialism is the false dichotomy. Yeah, it's true. Do you know this, Iman? Iman asked me, have I heard of Russell Gmerkin? No. But Iman, the two will stand shoulder to shoulder, unite in condemnation of people like us. They really will. Long sight. MI5 disbanded the OSS and formed the CIA, who were all Rhodes scholars. Yeah. The CIA was going to be taken off the jobs because John F. Kennedy was going to actually relegate it to nothing, and then he got shot. Yeah. David Gregg says Dawkins is so arrogant. Oh, he is, isn't he? Yeah, he really is. Mr. UFO Secret Files. That's a good name. Look who I run to. Tim Beckley. Oh, it's Tim. It is Tim. Oh, hello, Tim. How are you? Yes, it's good. Timothy. How are you? How's Timothy and all the others and Tina and everyone else? Because I love being on your show. I have to get up at 3 in the morning, but it's always good fun. So it's good to hear from you. Mars Lawless says to me, "Would you say something to Dawkins if you met him around Oxford?" I I should do. I've seen him a couple of times. I saw him once outside my hospital, and I also saw him riding his bike around. I don't know what to say to him. I don't know. I've written several articles slagging him off. He may know who I am. I know his friend, his best friend, whose name I can't remember his name, put a comment on one of my articles once. It was quite funny. E-Man says Dawkins isn't right about how evolution works. Natural selection, it can do virtually nothing. That's his area of expertise too. His philosophical arguments are insane. Yeah. But yeah, Dawkins is he's a good media pundit, isn't he? He's got all the right ingredients for the media. He's like a bit like Professor Brian Cox. He's got this sort of like savvy, this media savvy mentality, which is why they put him on TV all the time, don't they? Stiltskin says, "Sorry Ben, good to see you're doing well. Any sign of the Oxford Bog monster?" The Oxford Bog? Oh, the one that Nick Hayes and I were talking about. Well, before the lockdown, we were going to go and do like a stakeout of Lye Valley, and nothing ever came of it, unfortunately. David says, "Ben, have you sussed how Geller does the pencil readings? Someone draws something, puts it in an envelope. Geller reads it from even miles away and reproduces it perfectly." I didn't know because I know that Robert Monroe did that. I didn't know Geller had done that, actually done things remotely, because when people put things in an envelope, he always has a white envelope, and a white envelope is actually semi-transparent. But if he does things remotely, I'm not so sure. I don't know. Maybe that's something different. I mean, obviously, if Randy's misrepresented Geller, it wouldn't be the first time, would it? Longsight M12 says, "My point is the CIA is part of the Anglo-American establishment, aka the New World Order, which goes all the way back to Cecil Rhodes and the Rothschild." That's true, yeah. David Gregg says, "Oh, not Brian Cox. I know. I've got to have a go at him, haven't I? Yeah, I've got to mention him. Whenever the skeptics and idiots come up, his name always does too, doesn't it? Every single damn time." Oh. But I think this is an end of an era. I mean, the death of James Randi is really significant. I mean, whichever side of the debate you're on here, Randi has almost defined the skeptic movement. He really is. Dawkins, Randi is the model. Many people have modelled themselves on him. Penn and Teller are directly inspired by Randi for their skeptical career. Lots of other people are as well. He's got fans everywhere. Jonathan Ross is like one of his biggest fans. Oh, there's loads of them. And within the skeptic movement, he is the moral leader. And now he's gone. I know, of course, he was old and he basically retired anyway, but his death is going to leave a big hole for the skeptics. And whichever side of the debate you're on, it's a turning point, definitely. Monopod says, "Dawkins, you're a wanker." Mono, I wouldn't. It's not my style to do that. I don't know what I'd say to him. I'd probably say, look, I'd just say, look, if I ever got the chance to get into a discussion with him about these things, I would say, what are you doing? I mean, you don't say anything original about you don't even say anything original about atheism. Lots of people are writing and saying how you're wrong. You just slag those people off and claim they're trying to make money off you. You're supposed to be a mature man and an academic. You're acting like a spoilt brat. David UK says, "I think Dawkins won't live much longer either." How old is Richard Dawkins? I mean, he did have a stroke a little while ago. You think he's 70-something. Old is Richard Dawkins? 79. Yeah, He's quite a bit younger than Randy, but he's still not. He's not young. He's pushing on a bit, and he had a stroke. Yeah, I don't know. Miles Lawler says he's a millionaire out of it. That's why. Oh god, yeah. I mean, he's really unbelievable because he says, "Oh, I wonder how many books has Alistair McGrath sold today. Alistair McGrath is writing books with my name in because he's like a flea sucking blood off me." Do you know that the God Delusion's been translated into 12 languages now? It's on its 5th edition. It's one of the most best-selling bloody philosophical books I've ever written. I've read it, goodness me. And how can he say that? How can he say that other people are just interested in making money by writing books? Max Organ, hello, how are you? Stilton said, did you watch The Mandalorian, Ben? I haven't watched it yet, I'm sorry. I haven't. I know people you were recommending me. A lot of people were recommending it for me. It's no, this is the skeptic thing. This is the problem with the whole skeptic issue. They're so full of self-delusion. Utterly, they are absolutely. They have this inability to be introspective. They only talk about things as if they were all perfect. And Randy encourages that because Randy has always talked about himself as if he's perfect. Or at least he did in the documentary, An Honest Liar. He went into some of his personal problems and some of the issues associated with him for the first time ever. For example, it came out that Pena, his partner, Jose Alvarez, was living under a fake identity. Is Lisa here? Oh, Miles says, looks like you're on the Lisa GSD diet. Is Lisa here tonight? Right. Max Organ here. Damn those pesky skeptoids. Yeah. Limespec says election night live stream. Yes, I am doing an election night live stream. I am definitely. That'll be on Monday. I believe it's next Monday. Is it next Monday or Tuesday? Tuesday. Yes, I'm going to, and I'll do another one afterwards because all hell is going to break loose next week in the United States, and I'll tell you all about it. Max Organ says, damn their eyes, damn their britches, damn their duck ponds. That's Blackadder, isn't it? That's Sir Talbot Buxomley who says that before he dies. But you know, it's like I mentioned Project Alpha. I should tell you the detail. It's Steve Shaw and Mike Edwards. These two teenage boys. They were sent into the this laboratory, and Randy said, "Oh, go in there, pretend to be psychic, see how you get on, see if they sniff you out." And they went in there. They pretended to be psychics, and basically everyone in the laboratory was fooled by them. Then the laboratories think they've got the real thing. They say, Edwards and Shaw are the absolute real psychics. Nobel Prizes, here we come. Let's do a big press conference and announce it to the world. We found real psychics! And so they all gather, all the newspapers and TV cameras from all around to come on in. And they say, Mr. Shaw, Mr. Edwards, come on out and introduce yourselves. And then Shaw and Edwards come out and they say, sorry, we're not psychics. We cheated. Ah, da da da! Red faces all round. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. Firstly, the project began at the James McDonald Laboratory in 1979. They were dropped in 1982 because and never did anyone at the laboratory in the project say that Edwards and Shaw were the real thing. They never once said that Edwards and Shaw were the real thing. They didn't do this big press conference where Shaw and Edwards came out and said, see, we cheated, we fooled you all. That was Discover magazine. It was nothing to do with Mac Labs. I go into detail in just watch my skeptics videos, you'll find out. Longsight says, I voted Trump last Monday. Yeah, MAGA! Trump 2020, says Diggler, yeah. Max Organ says, Trump is the future's shite, the future's orange. That's witty, isn't it? Max Organ, Clinton in space, 2020. Biden Harris. Oh, Max Organ, you're not a Biden supporter, are you? Are you the one who supports him then? Are you? Monopod says, Monopod BS. Having said that, Dawkins did deliver a really interesting talk about memes many years ago. I brought the transcript of his talk not long afterwards. It was fascinating, well ahead of its time. To be honest, like if Richard Dawkins had just stuck to the biology, I wouldn't have had a problem with him, because that's how he started out. In the 70s, he was doing programs for the BBC on biology, on evolution, and they were really good. They popularised and explained these things in ways everyone could understand. And then he just then he gets into the new atheism, and that's when I think he goes downhill. Zythantiops, hello Zy, how are you? Ben, please explain more about all hell breaking loose. Is a comet going to hit? Is it demons? I don't know, probably the demons most likely be. What's actually happening at the moment, Zythantiops? What's been happening? Well, I don't tell we've had disclosure or something while I've been doing this live stream. No, 4 people dead as a migrant boat sinks. People could buy non-essential items. Oh God, bloody hell! More about the COVID thing. I'm not doing the COVID stuff tonight. I've done that already. Nothing I can see about hell breaking loose just yet, Zythantiops. But Dawkins does look as though he could pull off a decent fishnet. He could pull down a pair of fishnets. Do you know what you hear about Elevator Gate? I did talk about this in my 2018 Skeptic. He got in a massive internet spat. You know, one of the classic internet conflicts with Rebecca Watson, the feminist, and the skeptic. Femi-skeptic, I don't know what you call them, intersectional, the ones that Micromedia is always tackling. Because they were in Ireland at this skeptic conference, and they were all up. They were up all night getting drunk, and at 4 a.m. they thought, "Oh, let's go to bed." Dawkins and a few other people were there. Rebecca Watson goes into the lift to go to her floor where her room is. Someone gets into the lift with her and says, "I find you very interesting. Would you like to come up to my room?" Obviously propositioning her, and you know it's. I don't think she was in any danger, but it's a bit creepy to try on with some woman at 4 a.m. when you're drunk in a lift. And when she said this, she brought this up on stage at a future conference, and she said, "Look, guys, don't do that sort of thing," which is fair enough. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, it's tactless to say the least. But then all hell broke loose, and everything went crazy. And Dawkins really was jumped on this in a big time. He really did. Anyway, what's people saying? Diego Rivera says, in 2014, Spanish astronomers announced the discovery of 2 large bodies in the outer solar system. What are they? I mean, obviously, if one astronomer can see them, they all can see them. Longsight says, I live in Miami, and all the Cubans are saying they're voting Trump. Longsight, yeah. I've heard about this. You know what it was? It was basically Joe Biden refused to condemn Fidel Castro. Do you know that? Because all that area of Florida is full of Cubans who basically escaped the Castro regime. That is the socialist regime in Cuba. I saw them. They were celebrating on the streets when Castro died, or at least when it was actually announced he died a few years after he actually did. And Bernie Sanders stood up once and said how much he respects Fidel Castro, and apparently Biden was standing next to him and didn't say a word. So I don't blame them, Longsight. Good for them. Hopefully these idiots will tip Florida off the fence and get them to vote and get them turning for Trump. Of course, the polls, as I've explained in my live stream about the election, my last live stream about the election, the polls are saying, "Oh, Biden is 53. He's 3 points ahead of Trump in Florida." Yeah, do you believe that? Do you believe it? Diego Rivera says, one's 15 times bigger than the Earth, and another is further out, an object as big as Jupiter. Well, Diego Rivera, presumably other astronomers have seen these too. Stiltskin says, Oxford won't get restricted. Half the Parliament live there. We're still on tier 3 at the moment. I don't know, it's probably not. Oh, no, don't, that's mean. Max Organ says, Ben is our honey trap. Well, I mean, I'm probably a better honey trap than Dawkins. At least I don't. Well, you see, this is where we're getting into controversial territory, because Rebecca Watson, to her credit, has never named the rather sleazy bloke in the lift. I mean, I'm not a fan of Rebecca Watson, she's a rabid feminist, and you know what I think of feminism, but I do sympathise her with in this particular occasion. But there's some people saying it was Richard Dawkins himself. Was it Richard Dawkins? Richard Dawkins, a married man in his 70s, really get into a lift with a young woman half his age and try it on with her at 4 in the morning? I mean, is he that narcissistic? I don't know. This conflict within the skeptic movement, because Elevator Gate triggered a massive split between the atheism plus people, that is like the left wing intersectional atheist skeptics, which include like Rebecca Watson, PZ Myers, those kinds of people. And then on the other side, there was this backlash which included Sargon of Akkad, Micro Media, basically what became known as the skeptics in the sort of alt-right circles, who were actually kind of just centrists, who were alt-light. But there was this massive conflict within the skeptic movement. I mean, they're not united. It's still going on to this day. Max Organ, oh, you got a roast in the oven. Okay, all right. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Mars Lawler said, I don't hear many theologians or professors of divinity writing popular books debunking astrophysics. No, I mean, it's exactly it. I mean, see, they're very often very rational scientific people. I mean, Alistair McGrath was like Richard Dawkins. He was trained in biology. He was originally into biology. Copying a feel in the lift is no reason to self-isolate, said Max Organ. Miles Lawler says, if Biden wins, i.e. the vote is rigged, quote-unquote wins, then Trump won't go easily with the backing of the military. That, you've just summarised what I think is going to happen. I'll be saying more about that next week. Definitely. Stilson says, why couldn't Trump prevent mail-in voting? He's powerless. He's not powerless, Stiltskin, especially now he's got Judge Barrett on the court. He couldn't prevent the mail-in voting, but he has spoken out about how it's dodgy as hell. Max also says, I hope Biden wins. He won't. Really? Max, you're nuts. You really are. Oh dear. Well, there's always a few, isn't there? E-Man says, he explains neo-Darwinism Darwinism theory very well. Yeah. Neo-Darwinism states, says Max, a Twitter V on the lips, a lifetime on the permanent record. Well, that's what happens if that's what happens when the offence archaeologists get to you, don't they? Oh, Stilson says, I see your sardonic humour. Yeah, sorry if it wasn't obvious. Max Organ says, me, the 13th Duke of Windbourne, in a Catholic girls' school at 2 a.m. in the morning with my reputation. Oh. Where are we now? Zythanchop says, apparently it could take months for the election result. Zythanchop says, there's not going to be an election result. It's all been messed up. It's been deliberately messed up. It's going to be a night. I don't know what's going to happen. Longsight says, I'm going to Manila next week to see my daughter, and if Biden wins, I'm staying there. Hey, Longsight, don't worry. I think it'll be okay. I don't blame you for getting out of the country for a while, though. I said this to Gareth actually. If you can get out of the country just after the election, I mean, I don't know how long, probably for a few weeks or maybe even a couple of months. There's going to be all hell's going to break loose. I don't blame you at all. Right, we're good for just over an hour, not for long, but I think we covered. I think we covered everything, haven't we? Oh, Diego Rivera says the brown dwarf was observed by a team in Chile around 2015. They lodged their discoveries with the Royal Astronomical Society. Digler says postal voting and online voting should be banned. Yeah, with the exception of people who literally can't get to the polling station, expats, disabled people and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so look at that brown dwarf. Hang on. Brown dwarf. A brown. Are there any brown dwarfs? Let's have a look. Wikipedia. Thank you. Observations. Estimated the brown dwarf population. There's a few listed here. A few have been found. What happened with Nibiru? Do you think Nibiru's going to come back? Do you think it's possible? Not Nibiru. What's it called? Oh my! I'm tired this evening. Oumuamua. What if Oumuamua stopped and turned around and came back? Wouldn't that be brilliant? I was just thinking about it the other day. Just imagine. That'd be fantastic. Monopod says the Dawkins lecture I mentioned was Viruses of the Mind, the 1992 Voltaire lecture. Oh right, I've not seen that, but I mean he's good at things like that though, isn't he? I mean that's the thing. Monopods, he does that. He also did one of the Royal Institution Christmas lectures, which is really good as well. Talking again about evolution and life, which he's very good about. Max Organ says, "What, that fellow from Brown Dwarf? What, that fellow from Different Strokes?" I remember the little kid. Yeah. Zythantiops. Alright. Max on Israeli bum trumpet should allow free passage. What's a bum trumpet? Diego Rivera. Type Spanish astronomers find planet X. Okay. Spanish astronomers. Oops. Find planet X. Astronomers say a Neptune-sized planet lurks beyond Pluto. All right. 2 giant planets may cruise beyond Pluto. Oh, you're right. Yeah, this is a new scientist. The monsters go away. The monsters are multiplying just months after astronomers hints at planet X lurking beyond Pluto. A team in Spain say they might be 2 supersized planets hiding in the outer reaches of our solar system. One is 10 times the mass of the Earth, and orbits 250 times the Earth's distance from the Sun. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, right. You're right. I see what you mean. Yes, you're absolutely right. Stilton says, if I was an alien, you'd kidnap me and let me retain my memories so I'd write a book. Yeah, that'd be good. I'd be like Whitley Strieber, yes. If they want to do that, that's fine, yeah. One is a planet 15 times the size of the Earth, yeah. D-Man says, I don't think Dawkins was good on biology and evolution apart from explaining a flawed paradigm. Well, of course, I mean, it's turned out that the theory of evolution is imperfect. Do you remember I went to Professor John Lennox and his lecture at the town hall? I did a video on that, and yeah, there was a it turns out it wasn't quite as watertight as people originally thought. I mean, Dawkins defends it to the hilt, but there are questions over evolution, definitely. But he does explain it well. He popularizes it. He puts it into words that people could understand. He has flair. He has charm. Believe it or not, when he's talking about these sorts of things, and he has this kind of like charisma, which is on a shallow level, which is good for the TV. Max Organ being astrally spit roasted by Simon Parks and Tony Topping is the only way forward. Max, I don't want to know about your fantasies. I really don't. E-Man says, and science couldn't even explain the appearance of design after all. Natural selection is feeble in these terms. Even also an atheist biologist thinks so. Yeah, that's true. Some do, yes. I've seen the Discovery Institute and things like that. Very interesting stuff. Of course, there was a hit piece made on them at the BBC, which Richard Dawkins appeared and talked about the yapping terriers of ignorance. The yapping terriers of ignorance. See, wonderful rhetoric, isn't it? The rapping terrier. No other physicists don't have to put up with this. Why do biologists have to put up with it? But I looked into it. I looked behind the flannel, and I found some really interesting things about it. I remember. Do you remember there was there was this incident where Richard James Randi started questioning climate change. It was really interesting. He came out against climate change. He started, because Penn and Teller are they question climate change. Now, the funny thing about the climate change denial, so called, is the only thing on our side of the debate you can say and remain a skeptic. You can be a skeptic and be a disbeliever in climate change. Everything else you can't be a skeptic. But Penn and Teller, I think they're climate change skeptics. I think, but Randi came out once and he made a statement saying how this climate change thing, it's not really real. I mean, I've looked at this evidence and it's not. But then somebody had a word in his ear, because he changed his position a couple of days later. He published a retraction. I think some people had a word in his ear and they said, "Hey, Randi, you can't. You're supposed to be the public face of skepticism. We can't have you saying things like that. We let the minor ones say it, but not big names like you." And so he then published another article saying, it seems I was wrong. Someone sat me down and explained these things to me, and now I've realised I was wrong. Well, that's not often Randi. You sit down, just explain things to Randi, and it all comes out as and he sort of accepts it. Max Organ says, the lapping poodles of disclosure. Yes. Am I one of them? Am I a lapping poodle of disclosure? E-Man said Attenborough chipped in too, if it's the Horizon hit piece, I remember. Yep, E-Man, that was the one. It was called The War on Science. Duh. Oh yeah, Attenborough is like, he's not like Dawkins. But he's a depopulator. He's a guy. He's head of this group. Population matters. We need to reduce the population a bit. Oh, Crafty Nihilist says, gonna watch the new Amazon series, Ben. Truth Seeker, Simon Pegg. Looks funny, even though they take the piss. I've seen that. I mean, I've got Amazon Prime. I could go and watch it. I think I will soon, because it's getting... I mean, I think we covered everything, and been going for an hour and 20, so should we make this a short live stream? I'm actually going to do another live stream on Saturday, on Halloween night, I think. Yeah, because Friday night I'm going to a Halloween party. Halloween night itself, I'm going to be here. The Spanish discovery matches the 1983 IRAS Washington Post discoveries Planet X. Alright. As long as it's not heading here, that's the main thing, Diego Rivera. David Gregg says, too much money to be made from climate change. Absolutely. Too much money and too much political control. It's a permissible conspiracy theory, yeah. Warchart says, climate change was the Hellfires Club idea. It's. I think it came from the Club of Rome originally, but maybe it started earlier than that. I mean, I think it was Ian R. Crane talks about this, and he did a very good lecture explaining the origins of how environmental emergency could be used as a substitute for World War. Miles Lawler says that believing that life arose by chance is like taking the parts of a million Swiss watches, chucking them up in the air and having them fully functioning on the ground at the correct time. Absolutely, Miles. Did you see my last disclosure video about Venus? Because if that's proven true, these people are in big trouble. Because they have to explain why it's a coincidence that the two planets closest to each other in this massive universe are the only two planets in the universe where life evolved. How are the Skeppers going to get out of that one, eh? I'll give you a thumbs up, Alan. Yeah. Max Organ says the 5G grid cleaner. I think you mean grid keeper. Tom Reefer and Miles Jonestown are my primary gurus. You're not the Gibbous Moonchild person, are you, Max? Ian R. Cringe. Is he still alive? Ian is. Yeah, he's. I think he's getting better. I mean, he was pretty sick, but he's on his way. I was really upset when I heard about it, man. I was so upset because Ian's such a good guy. He's really inspired me. But he survived his operation, and last thing I heard, he was doing quite well. Max Organ says, I don't think Ben will be able to wear his disclosure Speedos at the Halloween party this year. No, I'll have to think of another costume to wear. Max Organ, is Ian R. Crane still taking donations? I don't know. So I thank you. Says Miles and Gridkeeper are just Psy Lords, attendants, and bitches. Oh dear. That's unfair, I think. No, that's unfair. Stiltskin says, Ian, I don't know exactly what state Ian is in, but I know he's a lot better than he was when he had his operation. I know he's improved a lot enormously. And of course, I wish him all the best. I'm really praying and hoping for him very, very much. He did look ill, Stiltskin. Yeah, I remember seeing him. He did a video and you could see he'd lost weight and he wasn't right. But fingers crossed and thoughts and prayers he will return. Well, he's already doing more videos and for the UK column and things, so things are improving for him. And he still tweets regularly, so that's really good. Yeah, he's always been quite a corpulent chap. It was shocking to see him so thin, David. David Gregg said he was very thin. Alright guys, I think we've covered everything. I want to thank you all for taking part. I'm going to call it a night now. Unless you all have anything extremely urgent you want me to bring up. Because remember, I'm going to do a Halloween live stream. Steve071 gave me the idea for this. He requested it and he's going to get it. I'll see if I can get a good costume for you. E-Man says you can't see all the comments we're reading out. I don't know why that is, E-Man. Cheers, Alan. Thanks for taking part. And then, of course, next week it's the live streams. I'm going to do one live stream Tuesday night, the night of the election. I'm going to do another one soon afterwards when we know more about what's happened at the end following the election. I'll do another one then. See Oxford Paranormal. I'll get in touch on Facebook if you've got a group or something, because I'd love to join you. Because I'd love to meet people locally, when the lockdown's over. Bye, Woody Black. Laters. Max Organ, Benny Handles. Night Hugo Rune, Night Max. Thanks very much, David. Laters, my beauties. You take care, guys. And appreciate you being a part. Now I've got to work out exactly how I end this live stream. Let's just see. Okay, here goes. Night night.